Hello everyone, Agion here, another Steel Division Normandy 44 replay. I'm going to start this replay a little bit early before the game actually starts, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce the players. Spawn the bottom side as the 4th Armored, 2nd Infantry, and 4th Armored. We have Power King. Those units are going the wrong way. And we have Pickle, it's Pickle Rick! Rick and Morty reference, as well as Loven. So on the north side, as the, was it 716th? Yes, Lair, and 3rd Fallschirmjäger, we have Claremont Waltz, Jagsla Smoldorf, and Anal Sturmgay Jaeger. Okay, that's not exactly a great name to say out or scream at the top of my lungs. Over here we do got Pickle Rick. It looks like the Rangers over here, and we got the fourth armored over down the center. We do got an early HS129B1. The B1 only has 9 armor penetration, so it doesn't have the greatest arm penetration. Rolls a bunch of misgets. Tracks broken on this Hellcat, but does not kill it off. But tracks broken is a critical. You won't be able to move that unit any farther forward, but maybe able to get some shots from May. I can probably check it once it gets into panic mode. Looks like these units are being forced back. Looks like it is the Fallschirmjäger unit over here. These Fallschirmjäger units are getting pinned down. He went way too far forward. He should have gone safe, perhaps crawled forward using these buildings as cover. And you'll be forced to do a large pin down. Nothing much has happened over here. We do got engagements over here. We do got some riflemen. These are just the... They do have 2 Brownings, which are not as good as regular LMGs, but they're not half bad either. But they're beating face against Ostrupen, and there is a Hotchkiss right here. It is the 716th. I can't remember the 716th or the 352nd. They had the B2s. B2s would have been excellent in this area, especially the Battle Phase A Flame Panzer B2. You also got a light AT gun over here, which can't do anything versus the Sherman with its 10 armor. But if it gets in close, it can potentially get some arm penetration hits. We do got a M5 AT gun over here. The M5 does, of course, have HE rounds as well, so it can fight infantry, help suppress their advance. Along the center, still a whole bunch of nothing. Over here, you do got the 4th... This player, the Power King, moving forward. He's facing against a Fallschirmjäger unit. They do have similar income at this moment. We've got a large number of AT guns coming on out to deal with these M8 Greyhounds. The Greyhounds are an excellent IFV. They're cheap. They have a decent gun. They don't have much armor in return, but he can't push these AT guns too far forward. He needs to put one perhaps here, and here. This gun's going way too far forward. It's getting hit by fire. It's actually a field gun, not an AT gun. It is under the support tab, if I remember correctly. We'll actually get a very good hit. What is the accuracy on that thing? Accuracy of 5, so that's a lucky hit. And lucky penetration. Penetration is reasonable, I should say. But a very lucky hit. You got some Fallschirmjäger units across right here. He is very far spread out. He was covering up this entire area. No wonder he had a lack of units. He just got overwhelmed by a concentrated push here. So the center US player is just holding the line here. About in the 50-50 part of the map. The field control is 53% in favor of the Allies. They do in fact have less income at the moment. So that's actually quite important. In fact, they will have substantially more income during Battle Phase B. It will start to even out in Battle Phase C, but the Axis players need to win this A game, the Battle Phase A. It'll be very hard for them to actually come back from at this rate. You got a huge amount of Ranger units right here. I don't see any Ranger Assault or Pioneers, Engineers. I think there are 6-man flamethrower teams available to the Rangers, but looks like he didn't deploy any. We do got these light tanks in this area, which is very... Yes, he is, in fact, the battle group with the B2s, which means he has this flame panzer. The only thing here that engages is Ranger Marauders, and they're a bit far back. We do got also the Sherman tank here and Sherman tank here, so he is... has has tanks on both sides as well as some AT guns, but nothing in the center here. So, and these infantry do not have any AT weapons, infantry-held weapons. There is also a Panzerschreck unit here, so he can maneuver that in order to gauge Sherman tank if it pops when he spots it. We do got the Abrams Ace out on the field over here. He's been out for quite a bit of time since the beginning of the game. But you got these field guns. They're not going to do much. They can work fine against the M8s, not in open ground, however. But they don't have anything against the Sherman tank. Do even have an AA half-track here. A half-track is excellent for anti-infantry suppression. It is, of course, the M15. The M15 does have the auto-cannon, in comparison to M16, which is a quad. We'll take out that AT gun. That's actually quite important. We got a Panzerschreck unit here. And we got two ME-109s coming for some strafing runs, as well as the HS-129B1. Remember, this variant only has 9 arm penetration, so he's better be hitting the Greyhound. In fact, he's actually can take out the Abrams tank from the side armor. Its side armor is shown, but it was forced back thanks to the AA weapons, and plus the pistol mounts did help out as well. Flame Panzer is now moving forward, doing some very good damage. He's actually doing some very good retreats, Pickle Rick. This Flame Panzer at minimum range like this can get an easy penetration shot on the Sherman tank. So the Sherman tank is not invulnerable, even though it has more armor to usually withstand the gun. And with the turret rotation not exactly ideal, we may end this smoke here, so it's going to be a very messy engagement. I need to zoom out because I have my settings too high for close range look at, but I never bothered fixing that up. Oh, I should. This Hotchkiss could get a penetrating hit, but no, he falls back. We do got the Ranger Marauders now moving on forward. We do also got this command Panzer 35 moving forward as well. Which one was actually the Hotchkiss? Which one was not the Hotchkiss? I think actually this is actually not a Hotchkiss, even though I've probably been calling it the wrong thing the entire time. They're French tanks. I'm not exactly sure. I'm not familiar with French tanks. They look stupid in my opinion. But then again, there are early war assets. You got a Puma here. We'll claim one of the Greyhounds. The next Greyhound's now going to engage. The Puma's more slotted one out, plus with the extra stars of Veteran C is very accurate. Takes out another Greyhound. You got an airstrike coming on and forcing these riflemen, actually killing them off entirely. The 2 stars of Veteran C does add up quite a bit. And all these pintle mounts, as well as the M15, does force away these aircraft quite quickly. Puma does it have extended range? No, it does not. Does the M8? No, it does not. Looks like we got some counter artillery. A Panzer Lorraine is now out in the field, counter barraging these 81mm mortars. No AT weapons to deal with this Flame Panzer, and it's in a very good range. He is actually moving the Ranger Marauders now up forward. Though some of these units starting to get burned up. He's going to jump in this building. He is jumping in the building. Aligned, fires, and dead. Though that Flame Panzer probably actually did more than plenty his job, because they secured up the city pretty much entirely. Just leaving a couple various infantry units to deal with. There's also an AT gun here, Pack 40. Pack 40 is an excellent AT gun. He's turned off the HE weapons, so this gives his position away when hitting infantry. You got some reinforcing riflemen over here, as well as push forward of these tanks. We do got a M4 105 howitzer carriage Sherman. I'm not sure if that's the proper way to pronounce it, but it's a Sherman tank with a 105 howitzer, which is excellent versus infantry. It also does have the extended range of 1,200 meters, so a lot of support weapons do have that extended range, making them excellent versus anything they can see. It looks like that Puma was managed to be killed off. I think that was by Abrams, not by the 105. You got a flak 88mm out on the field. And we do got this Panzer, this Hotchkiss in the bailed out state. Most likely to a bazooka shot. No, it was not. It was from the Sherman. See an aircraft coming forward. We do got a reconnaissance F5A, which is a very fast reconnaissance aircraft. An excellent one. And wow, was that a Flak 88? Didn't hardly do any suppression, but it's not very resilient. Instantly gets shot down. Maybe it's just as resilient as these aircraft, but these are two Veteran C2 ones, so they will rip apart aircraft in no time flat. Do you got Ju-88 coming in for a bomb run? We do got P-38 coming for a rocket run. Looks like the P-38 rolled a lot of misses there. Bombs are coming on down. It was 14 small bombs. Oh, that's a very tight cluster, getting a very good amount of suppression and damage done. Still, the field tickets are in favor, counting up for the Allies at +1. We'll kill off a Sherman 105 with that run. Ideally, he would like to hit the Abrams, but not always the case. Severely damaged to all the pintle mounts. There's just a lot of pintle mounts. Actually, there's 2 AA as well, an M16 and an M15. You got these Panzer L6s moving forward. They do have auto cannons, which they will take out the half-track eventually if they ever get a good penetrating hit, apparently. Large number of mortars are out in the field, eyeing to reclaim the area through indirect fire, but he's lost a lot of infantry units. And you got these infantry units just now starting to recover from the suppression. We'll pen down some Ostruppen. It looks like we got some artillery coming on the field. I was like, it could be just some field guns. Looks like this DD M7 it was cleaned up. That's powerful. That's a potent suppression platform, but was killed off by this Pack 40. The Sherman tank may be next. This Pack 40 is starting to climb up around this bush line. I'm on target over here. Looks like we got a radio operator vehicle. I don't know where. King Tiger now out on the field. Now this is a spearheaded push, and there's not really much here to take it on. There's a couple of bazookas. We got the Abrams, but that's pretty much it. I'm not exactly sure what called in that time on target. I'm not sure. Maybe it was killed off immediately. I can't really say. We got Panzer Warfare barrages coming on in. Still very quiet across the center of the map. Nothing much has happened. A couple Hellcats for defense. But we do got this motorized motorized assault coming forward with the support of this Abrams. As well, we got a Hellcat coming on for the front line as well. There goes that Greyhound to the Panzer Lorraines. The first shots took it out. Yeah, I still don't know what called in that radio operator. He must have been immediately taken out. Must have been. I would say I see a half track here. May have been from that and just killed off. I'm not exactly sure. Rick's mortar teams are starting to be cleaned up. 2 of them down. He still has a 107mm as well as a 181mm. Looks like just some field guns. That was not artillery. Do got Warferman, however, the Warferman does have access to 4 big bombs with a 104-meter AoE radius. King Tiger's out and making its advance, attacking some various targets, hitting the Army LMG rifles, I believe. Oh, nope, trying to hit the half track, immediately pin it down, forcing it back. Hellcat's trying to engage the King Tiger, but it won't be able to penetrate its armor. Period. Actually, it can penetrate its armor if it gets into, what was it, 200 meters? 400. If it gets into a 400-meter range, it has a chance of penetrating its frontal armor. There goes Abrams, trying to get a good side armor shot, but was unable to. This King Tiger is just a monstrosity to deal with right now. He needs to set up an ambush. He needs to either hit with some aircraft and run it down with some jeeps or something. Whoa! The Fallschirmjäger unit player has in fact surrendered. That is actually very problematic. Now their teams will be a bit more stressed. Or now they'll have, with one of the players now gone, they have less Now they have to focus more on what they have. We'll focus on more land now. He just how he lost so much is probably the fact that he rushed his units way too far forward and got caught in the line of fire of all the Greyhounds. These units are being cleaned up. We even got WC 52 trucks from the carrying the cavalry scouts. Actually, what's left of them. Looks like some of these buildings have finally burned down to the ground. We do got some B2s coming out onto the field. They do, of course, have that powerful mortar pestle. Not sure, is that the proper name for it? Mortar pestle? It has 1,000-meter range, so it's basically a mix of a support unit as well as a tank. It's a very, I love the B2. It's a very potent asset. It's only available to the 716th Infantry, but they do get quite a good number of them. And of course, they also get the Flame Panzer variant of it as well. Both very powerful, and that's on the support tab. Just as good as the tank variant, just in the support tab. You got a Tiger over here. King Tiger's getting smoked out. Looks like another Hellcat has went down. Another HS-129 strafe coming in, but immediately gets pushed to forced in the fallback state. May actually get taken out by all this anti-aircraft fire. Just barely managed to live out. Now we got the Stugs now moving on forward, focusing back the Hellcats. The AI has claimed this player, so it's doing its own thing, but the King Tiger here can easily make help turn around the area. It has to be very careful along the sides. We do got a mortar over here, or not mortar, but mobile artillery piece. We got some Sherman 76mm now being deployed out, which will of course have the increased armor penetration. There goes a Stug. That is actually a bit of a loss. Field control is still in favor of the Allies at +1. We got 2 Flak 88s now out on the field. And the Allies have claimed this all to the edge of the map, which means that's not exactly good. That's a substantial amount of ground that has been lost. It looks like we've got a Tiger tank has been deployed out on the field. It is a bit vulnerable to some of these weapons, but it still has a substantial amount of armor to withstand shots. It is also veterancy 2. Is there an officer nearby? No, there's no officer nearby, so it can gain another star of veterancy if there's an officer. Getting access to a lot of additional power. We do got a couple more aircraft coming on out. It is a HS-129B1, once again, as well as Ju-88. I think he's coming around for a run to force these guys to stay down. Some Fallschirmjägers are being cleaned up, however, as we'll force back, we'll put in a fallback state of 1, the AA weapons. All these pintle mounts are just being very problematic. In fact, there's 2 M16s over here providing additional suppression on the front line. Ooh, weapon damage. Must have been hit by a Flak 88. Maybe been from this pack. No. Could be. Close range penetration hit. Mid range, I should say. Tiger tank is still alive. This Tiger tank is just the most critical asset on this side of the field. There's a lot of AT weapons that have been deployed, but he's fighting against that Tiger tank. Has a lot of work to do. Has a lot of targets. There's a lot of Hellcats, and they do have enough armor penetration to take on the Tiger Tank, but they have to be a bit on the lucky side. Tiger Tank hit will annihilate these forces so if it gets some good hits. You've got some reinforcements coming up, more artillery pieces, as well as more AT, as well as Hellcats. You got all these guys lining up a shot, probably against some Fallschirmjägers. Tiger Tank moving to respawn. There's a lot of AT guns. Not sure if that's enough or not. They have a lot of work to do. Sherman takeover on the left side still has no ammo. The Flak 88 is starting to get some work done as well. We got an HS-129B1 coming out on the field once again. Trying to hit that 76mm. Only gets a lot of suppression damage. Didn't get any good penetration. But there goes the Abrams Ace to the Tiger E. Crew's been knocked out, however, so that may not have been the Tiger E. It might have been from all these AT guns. And there's a substantial amount of AT guns. These tanks cannot engage that. We've got a bailout crit on one of these Hellcats. Half track going down. Multiple fallbacks of these tanks and assault guns. So there goes the command 76mm Sherman. There's just a substantial amount of defense here now. They need an artillery strike or an airstrike in the area. Airstrike could be a bit undesirable because we have seen those two veteran 2 ME-109s, so an airstrike's not possible. What we need to see is a mass artillery strike. Get some call-in artillery in order to saturate the area. The Speed 2 and Panzer 35 is starting to make their way forward. They have plenty of cover away from these Sherman tanks, but there is this M5 AT gun. Doesn't have much vision, however, in that general area. In fact, not so much at all. It's a little bit here, but it's get cut off quite quickly by the train. Ranger Marauders have been spotted, so they will get pinned down and probably will get killed off. Large number of Fallschirmjägers trying to move forward. They do, of course, have 2 LMGs, so they have a substantial amount of firepower, but against they're getting heavy cover, but they're going to just overwhelm. You got a large bombing run coming in. 2 Ju-88Ss. They have the 14 bombs. That's a massive suppression. One of the Hellcats actually got killed off by that. That actually may have been from the HS-129. All of its ammo was consumed, but we got a mass fallback. Substantial amount of ground can be reclaimed by the Axis player. I haven't seen all too much in the center. Actually, we haven't really covered this all too much. We see a lot of Panzer Warfare barrages. Flak 88's been getting hit by AA. This player is the Panzer Leyer. I think that was his Tiger E over here. Yes, it was. So he's been sending support over this northern side, as well as the 716th with this Pack 40. So some of his assets are there as well. I got some 105 howitzers now being deployed out in the field. Pioneers are good because they just spam. They're cheap. They can use their grenades to quickly take out win favorable engagements and just hold the line for the rest of their time duration on the field. Those that they're being pinned down. You got some massive barrages coming down onto this Flak 88. It has it's not in any heavy cover, so that's why it easily got spotted. There's a lot of field artillery right here. Pack 40 was cleaned up. Pack 40 does, of course, have the HE rounds as well. Over here, looks like an aircraft was forced back. ME-19 could go ahead and take it out. Yes, the P-38 does in fact go down. Ooh, looks like the Sherman tank is currently bailed out. Probably to these tanks. Could have been from the Flak 88 as well. And the other Sherman tank is down as well. That's actually a big loss, losing most of those Sherman tanks. This player is... It is Pickle Rick! So I can't really remember... Oh yeah, Sherman Rhinos is what the next available option you can bring in. Which of course do have the 12 armor. Which makes him really resilient to a lot of access to weapons. There's like some more B2s being deployed out as well to help push along. Field control is currently 51% for the Allies, so a substantial amount of ground has been reclaimed by the Axis players, but they still have a long way to go. We do got another King Tiger out on the field. Oh, did I miss the other King Tiger going down? Ooh. Is that it? No. Is it the same one? Don't think so. Has all of its ammo. Ah, sorry, I missed that King Tiger going down. It was actually approaching over here, wasn't it? Ah, here's a King Tiger. This Hellcatcher screams he killed it off through the side armor. I think that's what happened. I can see armor penetrating... Some of its armor penetrating rounds have been used up, so I'm guessing that's what happened. That King Tiger really did do quite a bit of damage, so it's more than paid for itself, I believe. They got a large artillery barrage coming on in, trying to hit this Tiger tank most likely. Just barraging the general area, it seems like. Do got an AT gun here, so perhaps maybe he'll try to help mount a defense. Hopefully it's an M5. King Tiger started to make its advance. The Tiger tank over here went down as well. Didn't really see where, but it's definitely more than paid for itself. We do got a Panther here, a Panther A. Panther A, I didn't think there was that model in the game. I don't remember it. Panzerlayer. I didn't really play it all to Panzerlayer myself, so I don't really know. Panzer for a line shot. Currently reloading. Oh, the Tiger tank over here went down. It was an M5 AT gun. Gets a nice side armor shot. As were for anywhere in this general area would be excellent target to hit. He's hitting all these half tracks. It's a very good spot. Forces of mass pin. The continuous MG fire will keep these army rifles down as well. We got a couple more aircraft coming out, HS-129B1 as well as JU-88S. The HS-129 does get a penetrating hit onto the Sherman 76mm command tank. And a large bomber run here will force down a lot of these units as well as destroy the supply truck. Pioneers are starting to make their way forward. With some Fallschirmjägers and some Panic trucks as well. There are a couple flak 88s on the front line moving their way forward. These guys do have 2 stars of veterancy thanks to the nearby officer unit, making them very accurate. More Hellcats are being brought on the front line, but these King Tigers, this King Tiger and Panther is going to be problematic. Infantry is starting to make their advance. Hellcats don't exactly have the greatest weapons in order to deal with advancing infantry. They do, of course, have the pintle mounts on hull MGs, so they can do some reasonable fighting there, but their main gun, not so much. After lining up a shot, will be trying to hit the Hellcats. It has 14 armor. It can more than withstand the Hellcats' counter assault, but it's going to be receiving a lot of fire, which will force it back. Substantial amount of ground has been reclaimed by the Axis players, and they actually have 54% of the map. Result plus and tickets on their side, but they are still well behind getting a total victory. In fact, they're so far behind for getting a draw at this way. They need to get a +2 income in order to make it a potential draw. A mass fallback on these pioneers. But for how long? There's nothing much here left to defend. The Flak 88 will claim that Sherman tank. Very good chance it was going to get hit anyways. At that range. You got some aircraft coming forward. Multiple of them are being forced to fall back before they get their payload off. These field guns are starting to be forced back. There's nothing much here for defense. There's a lot of armor they're going to have to deal with. B2s, Panzer 35s, as well as the Hotchkisses. So this flank is ultimately, at this rate, lost. There's just a substantial amount of assets there to defend. You got a large wave of reinforcing infantry here, but that won't accomplish ultimate. The Hellcat's starting to move forward, but it's going to go straight to Panzerfaust range. In fact, we may actually see it go off. Ready. Still ready. May have actually spotted the unit now. Nope, he's hitting the half track. You got these half tracks now moving forward. That's a large amount of infantry trying to reclaim as much ground as possible. Them having the opponents having a +1 is fine. They just can't let them have a +2. Looks like just army rifles with bazooka support. They are only equipped with Grands and a couple carbines. I wonder. Yeah. Carbines are very accurate. Have a bit less rate of fire. So these units will be forced to will be pinned down, and this flank, they could try pushing forward and claim as much ground as possible. Over here, we do got some reinforcing infantry units, but nothing much they can handle against these MG teams, which are pinning them down, as well as the tanks. Over here, the city, this town has been still be claimed by the Allies, but the Axis players, they have substantial amount of AT in the area, substantial amount of tanks. In the last, in the front line right here is the half track, and once that goes down, a large bulge will be claimed for the Axis. There goes a Hellcat. Tried to take out the Panther, but was unable to. The M5 AT guns firing at maximum range will have trouble engaging it. Probably won't get penetrating hits. We'll be forcing the, we'll force it to fall back, however. Our troopers are absorbing fire away from everything else. And we also starting to see these half tracks starting to be cleaned up as well. And losing those half tracks half tracks are excellent for just suppressing infantry. They don't have to worry about receiving fire because of their armor. Now everything just falling apart for the allies. They still have the Axis players still only have the +1. They need a +2. They've got a substantial amount of artillery here. At least they have that still going for them. They can help slow down any assault, but we do got all these Axis infantry now moving forward. They do got an airstrike as well. A bombing run of 14 small bombs, which can do a substantial amount of suppression to these half tracks. A large miss. That's a huge miss. How did he make that big blunder? Looks like we do got some B2s repositioned to aid this flank. We got the +2. We got the +2, which means Axis players can make it a draw at this rate. And since this game was a 45-minute game over 40 minutes, they do, of course, have that additional income, which favors them at this period of the game. Thanks to the Fallschirmjäger 145, as well as the Panzerlehr 150. The 716th Infantry only has 120 in comparison to the Allies 130, 135, 130. But this large advantage here will really come and help. Handy for them to reclaim this game. Couple rocket runs coming on in. We'll claim this Hotchkiss. So these Howitzers have been spotted by this reconnaissance unit, the Fusiliers. But he will not kill them off. We got a radio operator at 203 millimeters, so that could be one way to try to deal with his opponent's static units. Large number of engineers coming out on the field. Engineers do, of course, have the 2 TNT charges. This Pioneer still has his 2 bundle grenades. Even though it only has 3 members, if they get into grenade range of each other, the Pioneer squad can actually do some additional damage when they're already guaranteed death. So we've got some counter artillery coming on in. We'll force down these Pack 105 howitzers. We'll pin them down. Not any direct hits. Time on target coming on in onto this Flak Irving, but it won't do all too much. There's only 1 unit. Losing that's not too problematic. More bombing runs coming on in, as well as a airstrike. This is a one mass. Oh no, this would have been a perfect spot. When the tanks did in fact go down to something, didn't really see what claimed it. Tiger and Panther starting to make their way forward. There's a substantial amount of artillery pieces in the area. Panther will be forced back due to some good hits. These guys are trying to quickly retarget this King Tiger, but it gets destroyed by something. It must have been this AT gun. Yes, it was. It had to be. In the side armor, I think the King Tiger's side armor is 9, which is still substantial, but not like the highest thing. It could actually... Nope, it's out of range of the Panther. Never mind. 5 minutes left. The Axis players still have +2 income. Another large artillery barrage coming on in, but you got the HS-129B1, perhaps trying to hit some of these guys. We'll kill off one of them. He still has plenty of ammo left. Ooh, there goes all that infantry. Forced to be pinned down. But the Fallschirmjäger still has a Panzerfaust. Oh, never mind. It's dead. And more Luftwaffe bombers are coming on in. That is a very good shot with the bomber. But he pinned down his own units as well, which is a bit problematic. More Luftwaffe bombers coming on in. I say Luftwaffe because that's the German Air Force. Well, none of them are playing as the Luftwaffe or even the Luftlande. But still. More strikes coming on in. Looks like Lovaran has surrendered. He was the player on the very right. The game at this rate is going to be a draw. There's nothing... There is still this huge bulge here as well, a huge bulge here. So either side can reclaim quite a bit of ground there. The Axis player is trying to get the +3, but I don't think there's enough time even for +3 in order to get a decisive win. Large amount of units just being deployed. I'm guessing he had a substantial amount of income he wasn't spending. We got some Italian units now moving forward. They do, of course, have Panzerfaust as well as their Beretta M38 submachine gun. I'm not so sure in comparison. There's 2 of them there. Accuracy is 9, 171 rate of fire. Save versus a... Who has a submachine gun as well? It looks like a little less rate of fire. Oh, it's dead. The guy's dead. All these cargo trucks are out of ammo. A lot of these artillery pieces are out of ammo or running low or down to the last shot. Reinforcements scrambling the front line. Do get the +3 for the Axis players, but it's not enough for a victory. So this game at this rate, in fact, I believe they have closed the gap enough to be considered a draw. And the Allies are pretty much doomed to either let it be a draw or lose the game at this point. There's no way they can reclaim enough ground in order to get a win. Time. German tank down here goes to the Flak 88. No, Sherman 105 goes down to the HS129B1. It's just too much mouthful. Why have I been saying that the entire time? Why don't I just say HS129? Ooh, that bombing run could be very good for suppression if the game wasn't already decided. Down to the last 50 seconds. I'm just going to go ahead and fast forward this a little bit. Both sides, the game has already been decided. In fact, they just barely managed to squeeze their tickets a bit of ahead as well. So by the time the game ends, they technically, in my opinion, the draw thing, I'm not so sure if the draw thing is actually a good gameplay element or not, but either way, let's go ahead and just see what really shined in killing. Abrams did a lot of damage, but then again, that's fighting against mostly an AI. And that's just for this one player. lost actually quite a large number of units to this Fallschirmjäger unit. That's actually quite interesting, even a cargo unit. But yeah, there's just a little look at it. This is Agion saying thank you for watching and signing off.